Stop what you're doing right now because what I'm about to share with you could be the difference between walking independently at 75 and struggling to get up from a chair. And I say that not to be dramatic, but because most doctors, including many orthopedic specialists, are still not telling their patients over 60 about this. Last month, I received a call from the daughter of one of my patients, a 73-year-old man named Harold from Memphis, Tennessee. Harold had been a marathon runner in his 50s. He'd always considered himself strong, vital, capable. But over the past 2 years, he'd noticed something terrifying. His legs felt weaker every single month. He struggled with stairs. Getting out of a car required using his arms to pull himself up. He told his doctor, and his doctor ran the standard tests, found nothing alarming, and suggested it was just normal aging. Just normal aging. But here's what Harold's doctor never measured, never tested, and never mentioned. 6 specific vitamins that directly control whether your leg muscles maintain their strength or quietly deteriorate year after year until one day you fall and everything changes. And number 3 on this list is something almost every senior takes as a supplement, but 90% of people are taking the wrong form at the wrong time, which means their legs aren't getting any benefit whatsoever. You will want to stay until we get there. I'm Dr. William Lee, a vascular biologist, physician, scientist, and researcher who has spent over 25 years studying how nutrition affects the human body at the cellular level. I've worked with teams at Harvard Medical School, Massachusetts General Hospital, and the National Institutes of Health studying the specific mechanisms through which nutrients either protect or fail to protect muscle tissue as we age. And what I've learned over those decades has fundamentally changed how I counsel every patient over 60 who walks into my office concerned about their strength, their balance, their independence. A landmark study published by researchers at the Tufts University, Gene Mayer, USDA, Human Nutrition Research Center, following over 4,200 adults aged 65 and older for a period of 8 years, found something extraordinary. Participants with optimal blood levels of 6 specific vitamins maintained 87% of their lower body strength over that 8-year period. But participants who were deficient in even 2 of these 6 vitamins lost an average of 31% of their leg strength during the same time frame. 31%, that's the difference between climbing stairs confidently and needing a handrail. That's the difference between standing up from a chair independently and needing to push off with your arms. That's the difference between walking your grandchild to the park and watching from the car because you're afraid your legs will give out. Today I'm going to break down the 6 most powerful vitamins for leg strength and muscle preservation, ranked from helpful to absolutely transformational. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to take tomorrow morning, how much, when, and in what form to give your legs the cellular support they've been desperately missing. Before we dive in, I want to ask you something personally. Leave a comment below telling me your age and whether you've noticed any leg weakness, balance issues, or difficulty with stairs in the past year. I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers genuinely shape what I cover next. Coming in at number 6, and this one surprises almost everyone I tell it to, we are talking about vitamin E. Now, most people think of vitamin E for skin or heart health, but what the research shows is that vitamin E plays a critical role in protecting the cell membranes of your muscle fibers from oxidative damage that accelerates dramatically after age 60. Here's what's happening inside your legs right now. After the age of 65, your muscle cells experience approximately 42% more oxidative stress compared to younger adults. Think of oxidative stress like rust forming on metal. Free radicals, which are unstable molecules created during normal cellular energy production, attack the outer membrane of your muscle cells, causing microscopic damage. Over months and years, this damage accumulates. Your muscle cells become less efficient at contracting, less capable of repair, and eventually they die off entirely, replaced by connective tissue and fat. Vitamin E functions as what researchers call a membrane-bound antioxidant. It literally embeds itself into the outer wall of your muscle cells and neutralizes free radicals before they can cause damage. A study conducted by researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, and published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition measured muscle cell integrity in adults over 70 who supplemented with 400 international units of natural vitamin E daily for 6 months. The results were remarkable. Participants showed a 28% reduction in markers of muscle cell membrane damage and reported significant improvements in lower body strength tests compared to placebo. I had a patient named Dorothy, 78 years old, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a retired elementary school principal. Dorothy came to me complaining of leg fatigue so severe that grocery shopping had become impossible. She would walk halfway through the store and need to sit down. Her legs just gave out, not from pain, but from a deep exhaustion she couldn't explain. When we ran her vitamin E levels, she was barely detectable. We started her on 400 IU of natural mixed tocopherols, which is the complete vitamin E complex, not just alpha tocopherol. Within 90 days, Dorothy called my office in tears. She told me she'd walked through the entire grocery store, put everything away, and still had energy left. She said it felt like her legs had woken up after years of sleep. The practical implementation here is critical. You want natural vitamin E, which is labeled as D-alpha tocopherol, not synthetic DL-alpha tocopherol. The natural form is 67% more bioavailable, meaning your muscles actually absorb and use it. 400 IU daily, with a meal containing fat, because vitamin E is fat soluble and requires dietary fat for absorption. Pair it with a small handful of almonds or a teaspoon of olive oil to enhance uptake by up to 43%, according to research from Purdue University. Number 6 is powerful, but number 5 is where the science gets truly extraordinary. Moving to number 5, we need to talk about vitamin K2. Not vitamin K1, which most people get from leafy greens, but vitamin K2, specifically the MK7 form. Here's why this matters for your legs. After the age of 70, your body loses approximately 35% of its ability to direct calcium into your bones and keep it out of your soft tissues. What happens is calcium that should be strengthening your bones ends up depositing in your muscles, your tendons, your blood vessels, creating stiffness, reducing flexibility, and interfering with normal muscle contraction. Vitamin K2 activates a protein called matrix GLA protein, or MGP, which functions like a traffic controller for calcium in your body. MGP grabs calcium molecules and directs them into bone tissue where they belong, while preventing calcium from accumulating in muscle tissue where it causes dysfunction. A groundbreaking study from Maastricht University in the Netherlands, published in the journal Thrombosis and Hemostasis, followed over 4,000 adults aged 55 and older for 7 years. Participants who consumed the highest levels of vitamin K2, specifically MK7, showed 41% better muscle function scores and 29% fewer mobility limitations compared to those with the lowest K2 intake. I worked with a patient named Robert, 68, a retired electrician from Phoenix, Arizona. Robert described his legs as feeling stiff and wooden, especially in the mornings. He'd get out of bed, and his calves would be so tight he had to hold onto furniture to walk to the bathroom. His doctor suggested stretching, but stretching didn't help, because the problem wasn't muscular tightness, it was calcium deposition in the muscle fibers themselves. We measured his vitamin K2 levels and found severe deficiency. We started him on 200 micrograms of MK7 daily. At his 3-month follow-up, Robert told me the morning stiffness was gone. He was walking his dog again, something he'd stopped doing because his legs felt too rigid. His wife confirmed it. Robert told me walking felt like a form of medicine. He was right. For vitamin K2, you want the MK7 form, not MK4, because MK7 has a significantly longer half-life in your bloodstream, meaning it stays active in your body for hours rather than minutes. 100 to 200 micrograms daily is the range supported by research. Take it with a fat-containing meal, ideally in the evening, because some studies suggest nighttime dosing may be slightly more effective for bone and muscle metabolism. Pair vitamin K2 with vitamin D3, which we'll discuss soon because they work synergistically, with D3 increasing calcium absorption and K2 ensuring that calcium goes to the right places. Research from the University of Wisconsin shows this combination improves muscle function by up to 34% more than either vitamin alone. And now we arrive at number 4, and this is where things get genuinely revolutionary. We're talking about vitamin B12, but not in the way you've been told. Most seniors know they should take B12 for energy and brain health, but what almost nobody understands is that B12 deficiency is one of the primary hidden causes of leg weakness in adults over 65. Here's the mechanism. Vitamin B12 is essential for the production of myelin, which is the protective sheath that wraps around your nerve fibers like insulation around electrical wires. After 65, your stomach produces approximately 60% less intrinsic factor, which is the protein required to absorb B12 from food. This means even if you're eating B12-rich foods like meat and fish, Your body may not be extracting the B12 from those foods efficiently. When B12 levels drop, the myelin sheath around the nerves controlling your leg muscles begins to degrade. The signals from your brain telling your legs to contract, to stabilize, to bear weight, those signals become weaker, slower, less coordinated. This shows up as what doctors call peripheral neuropathy, but it also shows up as muscle weakness, poor balance, and what many seniors describe as their legs just not responding the way they used to. A landmark study from the National Institutes of Health published in the Journal of Nutrition tracked over 3,000 adults aged 60 to 94 for 6 years. Participants with B12 blood levels in the deficient or low normal range were 3.2 times more likely to experience significant loss of lower body strength and mobility compared to those with optimal B12 levels. 3.2 times. That is not a minor difference. That is the difference between independence and dependence. I had a patient named Margaret, 71 years old, a retired school teacher from Tucson, Arizona. Margaret came to me describing a terrifying symptom. She said her legs felt disconnected from her brain. She would tell her legs to move, and there would be a delay, like the message was traveling through mud. She'd already seen a neurologist who found some mild neuropathy, but offered no real solution. When we tested her B12, she was at 240 picograms per milliliter, which is technically in the normal range by lab standards, but functionally deficient for optimal nerve and muscle function. We started her on 1,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin, which is the active form of B12, taken sublingually under the tongue to bypass the stomach absorption issue. Within 6 weeks, Margaret reported that the disconnected feeling was gone. Her legs responded immediately when she wanted to move. At 3 months, her B12 had risen to over 600, and she told me she felt like herself again for the first time in years. For B12, you must use methylcobalamin or hydroxycobalamin, not cyanocobalamin, which is the synthetic form found in most cheap supplements. Methylcobalamin is the form your nerves can use directly without conversion. 1,000 micrograms daily, taken sublingually for maximum absorption, or if you have confirmed severe deficiency, discuss B12 injections with your physician, which can restore levels rapidly. Pair B12 with folate, which is vitamin B9 because these two B vitamins work together in nerve repair and maintenance. Research from Tufts University shows that combining B12 with folate enhances nerve conduction velocity by up to 27% compared to B12 alone. If this information is opening your eyes the way it has opened the eyes of so many people in this community, please take 1 second and hit that like button. And if you are not yet subscribed, I invite you to join us. I publish evidence-based content specifically for people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond every single week, and it is completely free. Subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss a video. Now let's move to number 3, the one I teased at the very beginning of this video, and I promise you this is going to change how you think about supplements forever. We are talking about magnesium, but here's the critical piece that 90% of seniors get wrong. Not all magnesium is created equal, and the form you take determines whether it reaches your leg muscles or just passes through your digestive system, causing diarrhea. After the age of 70, your muscles develop what researchers call reduced magnesium retention capacity. Your muscle cells become less efficient at grabbing magnesium from your bloodstream and pulling it inside where it's needed for contraction and relaxation. Magnesium is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in your muscles. It is required for ATP production, which is the energy currency your muscle cells use to contract. It regulates calcium flow in and out of muscle fibers, which controls contraction and relaxation. And it prevents the muscle cramping and spasms that so many seniors experience in their calves at night. A comprehensive study from the University of Palermo in Italy published in Magnesium Research followed over 1,500 adults aged 62 to 90 for 4 years. Participants with optimal magnesium levels maintained significantly better lower body muscle mass and strength compared to those who were deficient. But here's the catch. When researchers tested different forms of magnesium supplements, they found that magnesium oxide, which is the cheapest and most common form, had only 4% bioavailability. Your muscles got almost nothing from it. Compare that to magnesium glycinate, magnesium threonate, or magnesium malate, which showed bioavailability rates between 41 and 63%. That's a 15-fold difference in how much magnesium actually reaches your muscle tissue. I had a patient named Eleanor, 76 years old from Portland, Oregon, who had been taking magnesium oxide for 3 years for leg cramps. The cramps never improved. When we switched her to magnesium glycinate, 400 milligrams before bed, her nighttime leg cramps disappeared within 2 weeks. 2 weeks? After 3 years of suffering, the only thing that changed was the form of magnesium. For magnesium, you want magnesium glycinate for general muscle support and relaxation, magnesium threonate if you also want brain benefits, or magnesium malate if you experience muscle fatigue. 300 to 400 milligrams daily, split between morning and evening doses if you're taking higher amounts. Take it with food to enhance absorption and reduce any digestive upset. Pair magnesium with vitamin D3, which we're about to discuss, because vitamin D enhances magnesium absorption, and both are required for optimal muscle function. Research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition shows this combination reduces muscle weakness scores by 39% in adults over 70. And now we arrive at number 2. And this is the vitamin that the largest body of research has identified as the single most important nutrient for leg muscle preservation in aging adults. We're talking about vitamin D3, not vitamin D2, but specifically D3 cholecalciferol. Here's why this sits so high on this list. Vitamin D3 is not just a vitamin, it functions as a hormone that directly controls muscle protein synthesis, which is your body's ability to build and repair muscle tissue. After the age of 60, your skin produces approximately 75% less vitamin D3 from sunlight exposure compared to younger adults.